What's up, nerds? My name is Steve from Flipping the Nerd, and this is my top 10 favorite Brad Pitt films. When I say favorite Brad Pitt films, I'm not talking about his performances. I'm actually talking about my top 10 favorite movies that have Brad Pitt in it. Brad Pitt is one of my favorite actors. He was almost in my top 3 favorite films of all time. The only one that he's not in is The Shawshank Redemption, and he was actually supposed to be in The Shawshank Redemption, playing the role of Tommy, but because of scheduling conflict, they ended up not giving it to him, and they went to another fantastic actor. And I think he went to interview with a vampire instead. So that's incredible. He's an incredible actor, incredible career, and I look forward to talking about some of the movies that I think are really awesome that he stars in. Usually I have honorable mentions, but I just don't have enough material for honorable mentions. All I'm going to say in the honorable mention section is, one, I haven't seen every Brad Pitt film. So if your favorite is not there, it's possible I haven't seen it. He has a big filmography, and it just is what it is. And I considered putting Deadpool 2 because it would be in my top 10, but his role is just too small in Deadpool 2 for it to count, I think. So it is not on my list, but I thought I would mention that because it is a really fun film to watch, but it's such a small cameo that I couldn't count it. So without further ado, let's get right into the top 10. Number 10, Babel. Babel is this really cool story that's kind of an anthology. It follows 3 or 4 stories. I forget how many. I saw it a long time ago. But it all comes together because it's all about this one rifle. And Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett, who happens to be my favorite actress, star in one of those stories where she gets shot, and it's kind of the fallout about that. And it's really well acted. It's a really great film. I don't think his part of it was my favorite in the film. There's this kind of story where it followed this Korean girl, which I liked a little bit better. But it was a very solid performance and a really solid film altogether. And one that I think a lot of people haven't seen. So I would urge you to watch Babel. It's a really cool movie and deserves a spot on the list. Number 9. Sleepers. Tough movie to watch, Sleepers. It deals with some very heavy subject matter. Brad Pitt's role is not huge on it. It follows the lives of children more than anything, with Robert De Niro playing a really powerful performance in this one as well. It's a great, great film. It's, like I said, if you do watch it, just brace yourself. There's some really difficult themes about what was happening to these children when they were young. And Brad Pitt plays one of the children, when he's older and going into court for the backlash of what had happened to them. I just don't want to really say what it is, but solid film. Great performances throughout by everybody involved. And yeah, absolutely, I had to put this one right on. Number 8. 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is a really cool film. It's about, they send someone back in time to deal with how a virus happened or something. And it stars Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt plays an absolutely just insane character in this one. And I really, really, really like his performance in this. It's very out there as a film. It's one of those that they really take some risks, and it pays off in a big way, I think, in this film. You see Bruce Willis more. He's kind of the star of this more so than Brad Pitt. But I urge you to watch this one as well if you haven't. It's a very cool story, very trippy, and it really brings you along for a great ride all throughout, and with a pretty solid ending. So yeah, that's definitely one that I want to put on. Number 7. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. In theory, this movie shouldn't really work. It's about somebody who ages in reverse. So he starts off as an old man and slowly gets younger. It also co-stars Cate Blanchett, so I'm all for this. I mean, Brad Pitt's one of my favorite actors. Cate Blanchett is my favorite actress, so yeah, I mean, just bring those two together more and more. That'd be great. I really liked this movie. My gripe with it is the ending, which I didn't like. And for those of you who've seen it, probably know what I'm talking about. But I don't want to spoil it. But it's a great, solid film. Brad Pitt being aged and then de-aged, it's really cool. I think the de-aging was actually more cool than the aging, because you see a lot of old age makeups, even though they did it really well in this film. Seeing him kind of back in the Legend of the Fall type look was really cool, because he had obviously been a little bit older when he filmed that one. And they really nailed that. It was one of the good, like really well done de-agings that I had seen. One of the first ones. I mean, Marvel does it really well now, but at the time you didn't see it all that often, and it's a really cool film all throughout, and I highly recommend it. Number 6, Inglourious Basterds, a Tarantino classic. Now, Brad Pitt plays a really cool role in this film. He's really funny as well in the way that he plays it. But it's not him, I think, that steals this movie. It's 100% the first scene of this movie. I'll even go on record to say that the first scene of Inglourious Basterds, I think, is the most well-acted scene in history of cinema. So let me just put it out there. I think it's like the most perfect scene that cinema has to offer was the first scene of Inglourious Basterds. It does not have Brad Pitt in it, though. It's just kind of I forget what the guy's name. It's really going to bother me, because of course I'm going to remember as I'm editing or as I'm watching this later. But just such a powerful performance. It's just two guys talking to each other at a table and smoking pipes. And it's amazing. You have to watch this movie. And if you don't want to watch the whole movie, it's a pretty long one. Watch the first like 20 minutes of the movie. It's just absolutely incredible. And Brad Pitt is really cool to see as well in this film. So absolutely needed to be on the list. Number 5, Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11 is one of my favorite films. On any other actor's list, this would probably be right at the top or near it, because it is a really fantastic film. I watch it out of all the movies on this list. It's the one I watch the most, because when I'm feeling sick or I just want to put something on that isn't too hard to watch or anything, Ocean's 11 is one that I'll put on pretty often. It's just a fun ride. It's really a good experience to see kind of the characters interacting with each other. Brad Pitt's fantastic in it as Rusty. He's just kind of, he's the one that you feel is really put together in this one. And he's always eating, which is like a funny meme that they do. I can't say enough good things about Ocean's 11. And a very, like I said, on any other actor's list, this would be right at the top. But man, Brad Pitt has some good movies. And here it is at number 5. Number 4, An Interview with a Vampire. This is the first movie that I saw Brad Pitt in that really made me like Brad Pitt, because before this, I'd only really known him for Legends of the Fall, and I didn't like that movie at all. I'd seen Thelma and Louise, and at the time I didn't love that movie either. But Interview with the Vampire, being a horror fan, was just a really awesome take on the vampire genre. I like that they kind of play with some of the, cinema tropes that vampire movies tend to have. Like, they do need to stay out of the sun, but I think garlic does nothing to them, which is, it's just like a stupid thing. And anyway, it's just a really well-made film based on a great book by Anne Rice. Him and Tom Cruise just absolutely nail this movie. It's a fun movie to watch. I really enjoy it. Super well made, well acted. So yeah, there was no doubt this one doesn't make the list. Number 3, Snatch. I love Guy Ritchie's Snatch. It is another great kind of ensemble film. There's a lot of great talents in this movie. It's just such a cool film to watch as well. The editing in this movie is incredible. The performances in this movie are incredible. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but that's what these movies are. I have a lot of fun watching a movie like Snatch, and Brad Pitt kills it in Snatch. He plays a gypsy, and just the way he talks is absolutely hilarious. Like, you don't understand anything that he says, and it's great. It's just so funny and so awesome. I love the hell out of this movie. One that everybody should watch if you haven't, because this is a great movie for sure. And I'm gonna keep saying this, but this on anybody else's list would be like probably number 1. But my God, does Brad Pitt have some great movies, including my second and third favorite movie of all time, which is the next two on the list. So yeah, Snatch, amazing. Number 2, Fight Club, my third favorite film of all time. Fight Club is a really cool movie because it really plays with, like, I don't know how to say it, like commercialism and how people kind of behave towards certain things. It's just a really smart movie. One that I watch a lot and I see different things each time. Brad Pitt plays Tyler Durden, who's, the other character meets, and it's just a great ride, and he plays the role so well. And one thing that I urge you to do, because you've probably seen Fight Club, I mean, come on, it's Fight Club, is to listen to the audio commentary, because you hear a lot of insight about just how far Brad Pitt pushed it for this film. Like, there's a scene where him and Helen Barton Carter are having sex, and you hear them, and then he opens the door and he's got like rubber gloves that you wash dishes with for no reason. And that's something Brad Pitt just did on a take because he thought it would be funny. And like, why? You kind of look at it like, why does he have that? And it just puts your imagination into a spin. And it's just these little touches that this movie has a lot of. And yeah, Fight Club's a fantastic film. I absolutely adore it. And yeah, I don't know, like, this is such a great movie. So my third favorite of all time, so that's saying something. But not quite the number 1 for this list, because number 1, Seven, my second favorite movie of all time. Seven is just such an amazing film. The performances are incredible by everybody involved. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, Gwyneth Paltrow, they all kill it in this film. It's about a young cop played by Brad Pitt who's taking over the jurisdiction for Morgan Freeman, and they investigate a serial killer who's killing people based off the 7 deadly sins. And it's just an absolute masterpiece of a film. It's like, there's just so much to like about this film, and it's very like tonally like really grim and dark, but it's just so well made. The music is great, the dialogue is great, the acting is great. There's nothing bad I can say about this film, and it all comes into an amazing ending that's just insane. I mean, if you watched my video last week, which was my top 10 favorite endings of all time, this was on the list because it is an incredible ending, an incredible film, well acted, well directed, everything. Everything about Seven I really, really love. So Seven is my favorite Brad Pitt film of all time. What are your favorite Brad Pitt films? I'm sure some of them from my list will be there for sure. I mean, Seven, The Fight Club, come on, it has to be on your list. And if they're not, I'd love to know. Like, I haven't seen Fury. I haven't seen Burn After Reading. There's stuff I haven't seen from Brad Pitt. But if enough people recommend it, or even one person recommends it, really, I'm going to go check it out because, there's a lot of movies out there. And, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Next week is going to be a fun one. If you don't know, I'm Canadian, eh? No, that's such a stereotype. But I do use the A a lot. So for Canada Day, I'm going to do my top 10 favorite Canadian actors and actresses. There are a lot to choose from. We are very blessed with the talent that comes out of our country. So that'll be a fun list for sure. If you want to put in some recommendations before next week, I would love to hear them. Of course, every time with this list, sometimes I don't think of them. And then in the editing, I'm like, oh my God, how did I forget, blank name. So I would love to hear it, and check out the other videos if you have chance. I do appreciate everybody who watches these. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate it, and putting your comments and telling me your favorite films. It's just a fun thing to do. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Goodbye.